We're back for the first ever UFC card from Qatar, Doha, Qatar to be exact. UFC fight at Tsarukyan versus Hooker this Saturday. We've got 14 fights with a big main event in the lightweight division and a huge co-main event that's only 3 rounds in the welterweight division. I don't know why they only gave Bilal Muhammad and Ian Machado Garry 3 rounds, but it's okay. We've got a loaded 14 fight card, again, UFC's first ever trip to Doha, Qatar. And folks, before we get into the full predictions, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more UFC predictions here on the channel. Later in the week on Thursday, we'll have our 5 best bets for this UFC Qatar card as well. We went 10-4 last week on the UFC 322, so a big night for us last week. Let's look for more of the same here this Saturday. Also, folks, before we get into the video, go make sure to check out the main channel. Greedo plays daily college basketball best bets, daily NBA best bets, weekly college football and NFL predictions and best bets as well. Okay, on to the first of our 14 fights this week from Doha, Qatar. Kicking things off with 2 heavyweights making their UFC debut in Bujlo, taking on Denzel Freeman. Bujlo, coming on over from Poland, primary jiu-jitsu grappler fighter, taking on the American Denzel Freeman, who is looking to likely beat you on the feet, but does have a grappling game as well. Now, for Denzel Freeman, 6-1 as a professional, probably most well-known fighting in PFL, I would say. At least that's where I completely recognize Denzel Freeman, or that's where I first heard of Denzel Freeman, I'll be honest with you, was when he fought Isaiah Pinson in the PFL back in 2023. Since then, though, since his loss to Pinson in a controversial decision, I mean, if you go watch that fight, it's really competitive. Freeman's winning on the feet. Pinson gets some takedowns, obviously collegiate wrestler Isaiah Pinson. You watch it, Denzel Freeman probably wins the fight. Let's just be honest. Who's doing more damage? It's Denzel Freeman. Pinson hasn't really seen too much success post that fight either. But regardless, they give the nod to Pinson. Freeman since then goes to LFA, wins against Steven Asplund, who's now in the UFC. Obviously, the former 500-pound guy who's fighting in the UFC later this month. Just got his contract, or in December. Sorry, just got his contract off the Contender Series. And then Freeman's last fight in LFA just won the LFA championship over Hugo Cunha. Cunha, a former Contender Series alum, he fought Rizvan Kuniev on the show, lost, then fought and defended his LFA championship against Denzel Freeman. Freeman went out there and beat him in the second round via ground and pound again TKO. So Freeman's more than capable, has a ground game, obviously finished Asplund by second round submission, and can strike with you as well. Again, he's a primary striker who can grapple if he so needs to. He's not going to need to grapple, at least offensively this week, against Bujlo. Bujlo's going to try to take him down. And I think it's an interesting addition to the UFC's heavyweight division. However, I'm going to really approach this fight and treat this fight if it was a Contender Series fight, because it really feels like this should just be a fight on the Contender Series. 2 guys making their UFC debuts, and I don't really know if either of them is all that UFC ready just yet. And I'll say this, whose record and resume is more impressive? It's actually Denzel Freeman. Who looks like a better fighter, though? It's Marek Bujlo. But the thing is, Bujlo hasn't fought anybody just yet. I watched Bujlo's last fight, and he fought a dude, let me get the name, Guliami Zivadze from Tbilisi, Georgia. This guy he fights, I mean, just do yourself a favor and watch the fight and look up Gulami Zivlidze on Tapology. Actually, I'll show you guys. This is the dude he beat. What? That was his last fight. So that's my problem. Who are you beating? He looks really good in these fights. Bujlo goes in here and he immediately gets takedowns and it's just domination. I don't think he's never made it out the first round. Has not had a fight that's gone more than 2 minutes. So I just don't know what to expect. Again, he looks great in these fights, but this is why we have the Contender Series. So you go out and we can see truly how good these guys are, rather than, okay, he's guaranteed 2 or 3 fights in the UFC. Now, originally, Bujlo was supposed to take on Jose Luis, who's from Brazil, who was also supposed to make his UFC debut, but now on short notice, here comes Denzel Freeman. Oh boy, I'm split on this one, man. And these aren't 2 younger guys. Oh, Bujlo's 32, Freeman's 34, making his UFC debut. Okay, hesitantly, I'm going to go with Marek Bujlo here. I think Bujlo can win it. Obviously, it's a much closer trip for him to Qatar than it is for Freeman fighting out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. But I'm not confident in the play, I'll tell you this. Okay, I would not bet on this fight. There are no odds just yet because Freeman just stepped into the fight relatively recently. But I would take Marek Bujlo to likely win. And I think he'd win. If he's going to win, he's probably going to win by first round TKO. I'm telling you, it starts with a takedown and then ground and pound from there. I think Freeman is the better striker. I just don't know if he's ready for this grappling game out of Bujlo. Again, we saw Isaiah Pinson see some success wrestling against him, but not that much success. And neither Aspen or Hugo Cunha was all that successful on the ground against Freeman, which does say something because Cunha does have a grappling base. But I do believe this is a fight that Marek Bujlo wins. I think his grappling is obviously what's going to lead him to victory here, and it is a relatively short notice call for Denzel Freeman, so I'm going to go with Bujlo to win. Am I confident at all? No. Would I bet on it? No. But we are going to ride here with Marek Bujlo to win his UFC debut by first round TKO on the ground, again via ground and pound. On to our second fight, and we have a lot of UFC debuts in this card. On this card, we've got 5. We've already talked about 2 of them. Here is debut number 3, and it is going to be Nicholas Dalby taking on Sagid Izagakhmaev. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Izagakhmaev. Taking on Nicholas Dalby. Izagakhmaev is a minus 390 favorite. And it makes sense. Well, one, Dalby's old. He's 41 years of age. I think actually today is Nicholas Dalby. If you're watching this video on Sunday, which if you are, I appreciate you watching the video when it comes out. I believe today is Nicholas Dalby's birthday. Yeah, it is. Wow, that's crazy. Is it? Not really. But yeah, so November 16th is Nicholas Dalby's birthday. He just turned 41, and he's going to be making his 14th walk into the UFC octagon this week. 7-5-1, actually 15th walk. He has a no contest in there. Regardless, though, Dalby's looking to respond after back-to-back losses after a miracle victory over Gabriel Bonfim. And when I mean miracle, I seriously mean miracle win over Bonfim. Also, maybe that's just Bonfim isn't very good. He's still not. I don't care. He beat Randy Brown. I don't really trust in anything Bonfim's going to do going forward. Regardless, though, Dalby finds himself in the second fight of the undercard against a UFC debuting fighter in Izagakhmaev. Izagakhmaev's good. From what I've seen out of Izagakhmaev, this dude is very solid. His last fight was in one championship against Shinya Aoki, who is a very credentialed fighter, a veteran fighter who's had a million fights, actually beat John Lineker in 2024, recently in one championship. Regardless, like Aoki has been around ONE FC for a very long time, was the former welterweight champion. Izagakhmaev fights him in 2022, which is actually Izagakhmaev's last fight up until now. And he knocks Aoki out in the first. It's a right, I think it's a straight. He catches Aoki a little off guard with a straight, but completely wobbles him, pushes back. Aoki's basically done on the fence, and then Izagakhmaev just unloads from there. He hasn't fought since then. I don't like that. 3 years of inactivity for Izagakhmaev. He was supposed to fight on 971 FC in Dubai. On Muhammad Yakhyaev undercard against Pupanga Tresor from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That fight fell through, and now Izagakhmaev just gets signed to the UFC. He is a fighter from Makhachkala, Russia, and this is a fighter who has a Sambo base, but like a lot of these Russians from Makhachkala/Dagestan have, they have really good hands now as well, and they have adapting. They have a they have a better striking game, that's the right word, a developing striking game as well. And that's exactly what Izagakhmaev has. I get it, right? Shinya Aoki was 40 years old when they fought, and he already had like 50 pro fights. But I'm telling you, like, you can tell the power that Izagakhmaev has is pretty nasty. And he's got really good submissions and really good jiu-jitsu as well, really good sambo, as well. His last loss comes back in 2021 to, of all people, Carlston Harris, who I think is still in the UFC. I don't know. He's lost back-to-back fights. But, yeah, that's actually Izagakhmaev's last loss. It was Carlston Harris back in 2021. If I'm not mistaken, that was Dana White looking for a fight. And Dana was there for Izagakhmaev, who was 17-1 at the time. He was not the champion in UAE Warriors, but Dana was at that show for Izagakhmaev, and Harris beat him, and then Dana just signed Harris instead. Well, finally, Izagakhmaev has made his way to the UFC, and he went to Eagle FC and then won championship, and now he's finally in the promotion. But again, he has not fought in an MMA fight in 3 years. But he takes on Nicholas Dalby, who is now 41. Again, happy birthday, Nicholas Dalby. But coming off back-to-back L's, a competitive fight against Hernat Fakhretdinov, but Fakhretdinov doesn't do the most damage in his fights, and I think what's real telling is Dalby's last bout against Randy Brown. Now, he does drop Randy Brown in the first round and wins the first round with that knockdown, but eventually Brown comes back in the second and puts down and knocks out Dalby. So I can't really put much into Nicholas Dalby here, guys. He's 41 coming off a knockout loss in the early summer, was it? Was it May? It was April. Okay, so it was in the spring, but still, I don't trust Dalby's chin anymore, and Izagakhmaev, to me, has multiple ways to win the fight, on the feet and on the ground. My one concern is that he has not fought in 3 years, but it's not like he's that old still. He's only 31. It's just I would have liked to seen him fight when he was 29 or 30 in the UFC. I think he's got all the makings of being pretty fun in the UFC. It's just a matter of how he fights. Is he going to go grapple heavy? Is he going to go striking heavy? I think if I'm Izagakhmaev, I'm striking until it's difficult. And I don't think it's going to become all that difficult against Nicholas Dalby. Again, Dalby's 41, coming off a knockout loss. I'm going to take a back-to-back knockout L's here for Nicholas Dalby. I'm going to go with Saigid Izagakhmaev to beat Nicholas Dalby by second-round knockout. I think he's going to find that shot and put Dalby away and probably end the UFC tenure of the Danish fighter. Let's move on now to our third fight of the night and our fourth UFC debut as Nurullo Aliev takes on Shekhrak. It is the UFC debut of Shamrock. As this is a jiu-jitsu heavy fighter who's coming over from Octagon, if I'm not mistaken. That's where Shamrock is from, right? Yes, he's coming over from Octagon, won 4 consecutive fights over there. Never won the Octagon championship, which I think, is not the biggest deal, but never won the championship over there. 4-0 in the promotion, 3 straight rear naked choke submissions, and then a decision loss in his final fight in Octagon in 2025 in May. You get Nurullo Aliev, though, who is dangerous. Nurullo Aliev, guys, okay, so here's the thing about Shamrock. From what I've seen out of Shamrock, really good grappling, decent wrestling, but a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. That's problems against a guy like Aliev, who will take you down and give you no breathing room. That's what the Tajikistan Eagle does. It is all grappling, nonstop, and he's 24. Shamrock's 32, making his UFC debut. Again, BJJ guy, but Aliev made his UFC debut at 22, is only getting better, and is only 2-0 the promotion, sure, but has looked good in his first 2 fights. Now, the Rafael Alves fight was maybe a little too close for comfort, even though, again, I thought that Aliev pretty easily won. There was a split decision. It was weird. I remember that was on a fight night card in the UFC. They showed a big stadium of people going, oh, yeah, all excited in Tajikistan after Aliev won. And then his second fight in the promotion, he just beat Joe Selecki earlier this year on the first ever card of this year, actually, in January. He just completely grappled and, just downed Joe Selecki in that fight. Selecki wins the 3rd round because there's no grappling, but Aliev pretty easily wins the first 2 rounds in that fight, again, purely just based off of his wrestling. So good on him there. I don't know how Shamrock's going to win then. He's going to be on his back the entire fight. I don't love Shamrock's pure wrestling against Aliev. I think his grappling's really good, but that's the problem. How is he going to get the fight down to the ground? And there's a reason, right, the Tajikistani fighter is a minus 340 favorite against Shamrock, who's 12-1-1 making his UFC debut, but he still finds himself as a huge dog. It's a really difficult fight. It's a very difficult fight. I'm kind of surprised this was the initial booking of this fight, right? I was thinking that this was kind of just a replacement fighter because I think it's just a really difficult entry-level fight. I get it. Shamrock's only had 2 UFC fights, but look at the guys he's beaten. I know Rafael Alves never really turned out to be the best UFC fighter. That dude was trouble. He went 1-3 in the UFC, but there was not a fight that Alves had that wasn't difficult for any fighter. I don't know why they didn't I get it, he couldn't make weight and whatnot, but I feel like they should have kept him around a little bit more. He's been dominating, I think, in karate combat from what I understand. I think he knocked out James Vick. Anyways, though, Aliev beats him, and then beats Joe Selecki in his last fight by decision as well. Why would this fight against Shamrock be any different? And I know, again, Shamrock, great jiu-jitsu. We've seen the rear naked choke finishes in Octagon. Last victory was in Octagon 71 in Germany in May of this year against Attila Korkmaz. Beats a 16-10 guy by split decision. Again, though, your BJJ can be as good as you want it to be, but now you're fighting at the UFC level against a 24-year-old whose game's only getting better. We've seen him at 22 and early this year at 23 years of age. What is he now at 24? He's still not even in his prime yet, and his wrestling's really good. Is it the most fan-friendly style of fight style for Nurullo Aliev? No, it's not. Okay, I will say this right now. Nobody's going to be dying. If you're not a Tajikistani, you're not going to be, running to the TV to watch a Nurullo Aliev fight. He's not that fun, but he wins, right? And it's that dominating style that is working in the UFC. Hell, I'm not hating right now, but look at Makhachev. Guys, Islam Makhachev just won a UFC title fight by landing 25 significant strikes in 25 minutes. But he won, and he had 20 minutes of control. And he went 4-4 on takedowns. Guys, that's the name of the game now in the UFC. You just take guys down. If you're a good wrestler, it's weird because it used to be in the promotion, Dana would hate these type of guys. Oh, they're boring. They don't get finishes. They wrestle. But now, look at the legacies they're building. And I'm not picking a side. I'm just saying it's weird because I remember back in the day, hell, 2 years ago, Carl Williams got cut for being 5-1 in the UFC because he just wrestled and just laid on top of guys. Makhachev. I get Makhachev has his fair share of fun fights, but you didn't hear Dana complaining about Shevchenko yesterday. And listen, I'm not even going to make this about Islam. Shevchenko's been boring in her last 5 fights. Valentina does one thing and one thing only. Clinch up, body lock, takedown. Hold you down there. Doesn't look for a finish. I'm just saying, we don't approach these guys like we used to. And I'm not picking a side. It's just, it's weird. Because it used to be Dana hated these boring wrestlers who just laid on top all the time. Not picking a side, but if I'm picking a winner, yes, Nurullah Aliev will dominate Shamrock. Shamrock's not getting a submission off of his back, and Aliev's going to ground him and put him on the ground for 15 minutes and win a unanimous decision. Give me Nurullah Aliev. On to our 4th fight of the night, we go to Ismail Naurdiev taking on Ryan Loder. We've got Morocco versus USA here. Picks on Tapology are pretty even. Ryan Loder only 46% of voters are picking Loder to win. 54% of voters are picking Naurdiev. Again, if you look at the odds, -185 for Naurdiev, +145 for Man of Steel Ryan Loder. Should be a competitive fight, obviously. Loder, the former Ultimate Fighter winner, winning the Ultimate Fighter against Robert Valentin, who never really turned out to be the best UFC fighter at all, but it's okay. Loder's second fight, Azamat completely dominates him in Des Moines, Iowa. It's not a competition. Bekoyev drops Loder twice in the span of 2 minutes, and Bekoyev goes on to win. Now, we've seen Bekoyev since lose to Yusri Belgori, so it's a fight that Bekoyev was really expected to win. So I don't really know where to put Ryan Loder. You've lost to Bekoyev, who at the time was pretty hyped up, but not anymore. And he beat Robert Valentin, who, again, at the time was pretty, it was an impressive victory. Robert Valentin's 0-3 now out of the UFC. So, or soon to be out of the UFC. I think he might get one more fight. Maybe not. I don't know, right? He's on the Rafael Cerqueira path, kind of. More on Rafael Cerqueira later. How does bro keep getting UFC fights? I don't know. Anyways, Ryan Loder, Ismail Naurdiev here. Naurdiev obviously in his second stint with the promotion. 1-1 in the second stint. He was 2-2 in his initial, run with the company. Now 1-1 in this one, though. Beat Bruno Silva in his first fight back at UFC 308 by decision. And then ran into Jun Young Park and lost a decision most recently in the summer of this year. I forget what Fight Night card that was on. Feels like an Apex. No, it was in Baku, Azerbaijan. But still, Naurdiev 1-1 now in this recent run. Looked really good in the Bruno Silva fight, got his takedowns effectively. The Jun Young Park fight just got out-grappled. Jun Young Park was able to get those takedowns when he needed to and really, again, won rounds because of his grappling. Ryan Loder, again, good wrestler. We saw that in the Valentin fight. We saw that throughout the course of the Ultimate Fighter. We know that's in the back pocket, and I know Naurdiev, again, wants to grapple some too. I mean, his striking game is good. He's just shown a lot of grappling, though, recently. I think ultimately, though, in this fight, again, I mean, I can look at previous fights with Naurdiev as much as I want. He's going to look to strike in this fight, though. That's his best pathway to success. I mean, he can try to wrestle Ryan Loder. My question would be, why would you wrestle Ryan Loder? That's the only way you're giving Loder a chance to win. On the feet, I don't think Loder's very good. And I know that because, and I get it, Bekoyev just fought, Belgrade, who, is a former, glory kickboxer and whatnot, but I don't think Bekoyev's that great. And I get it, he lost to a glory kickboxer, but that was a fight that he was a minus 400 favorite in. And yet Ryan Loder got knocked out by that guy in 2 minutes. And his only win now is Robert Valentin. And I know Naurdiev's win is in the UFC's Bruno Silva, who was, on that 6-fight losing streak or whatnot, 5-fight losing streak to end his UFC tenure. I get that. But I do believe Naurdiev stylistically has a better chance to win. Because if he can just keep this fight off the mat, I do think he just outstrikes Ryan Loder. Also, I mean, I don't think this matters the most, but it kind of does at the same time. I'm going to take a fighter here who's 5 years younger than Ismail Naurdiev. Ryan Loder's 34. You're not getting that much better anymore at 34 years of age. Like if you're not a championship or top 15 caliber fighter yet at 34, you're probably never going to be. And yeah, I know that sounds incredibly harsh, but unfortunately it's the truth. Ismail Naurdiev at 29, there's a reason he came back to the promotion, built himself back up, got back to this point. It's because, again, he was young and he's just turned 29, so he's still got a lot of career ahead of himself, and there is still the potential. I'm not telling you Naurdiev is going to be a top 15 fighter, but there is the potential of Naurdiev building himself up to get into that point. There really is none of that for Ryan Loder anymore. So if I'm Naurdiev, I'm fighting this fight smart. I'm fighting off takedowns. I'm keeping the fight on the feet. And I'm going out here and out kickboxing Ryan Loder because obviously, as we've seen before, there is a very big possibility possibility that can happen. So I'm going to go Ismail Naurdiev again from Morocco to beat Ryan Loder. If he can keep the fight off the mat, I believe Naurdiev is going to win. I think he will win this one by decision. So give me the Moroccan Ismail Naurdiev to win his now 4th fight in the UFC in his 2nd stint. So 2nd win in the 2nd stint, but 4th win overall. Naurdiev will go out there and beat Ryan Loder, and he will get it done by unanimous decision. On to our 5th fight of the night, and we go to a matchup. Oh man, there are Topuria versus Nurmagomedov / Dagestan ties to the fight. Hold on now. Alexandre Topuria takes on Beksat Almakhan here. There are ties. Hear me out, guys. If you remember, Almakhan, he fought Umar Nurmagomedov, okay? He fought Umar back in March of 2024. Fight wasn't very good. It was, wow, like, Umar can't finish this dude? Are we serious? But, you know, Umar's a decision machine. It's just what he does. He's going to keep decisioning his way back into another title shot eventually. It's fine. Whatever. Who cares? But anyways, Umar took Almakhan, whatever the hell his name is. That's disrespectful. I'm sorry. But still, like, he took him to a full decision. And sure, Umar won every single round. Almakhan landed 3 strikes in that fight, and he landed a strike in the first round that knocked down Umar. Now, again, Umar ended up winning a decision, 30-26. Really should have been 30-27 in my opinion, but whatever. And obviously, Umar eventually gets a title shot and loses. But there are ties again for now a Topuria, who, not obviously Ilya, but Alexandre Topuria, El Conquistador, not El Matador, as he is now fighting Almakhan, who once fought Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, again, Almakhan, since the Umar fight, fought Brad Katona and knocked Katona out in the first round. So he's coming off, again, a huge victory against Katona. He's a fight that, you know, Almakhan was a favorite in. We did pick Almakhan to win, but now he's getting Topuria. And Topuria, I think, shocked a lot of people in his win over Kobe Thickness. It was a good victory for Topuria. We didn't really know, again, how good this guy was going to be, considering his regional run was not great, and it kind of felt like he was kind of here because of his brother, to a sense, let's just be honest. I mean, obviously, when you are the biggest star in the sport, you can command getting your older brother into the promotion. That's exactly what Ilya did. But, again, Alexandre is back, who is a 300 and exactly 51 weeks older than Ilya. Are they half brothers? No, I believe they're just straight brothers. Damn, okay. I mean, I guess, yeah, straight year after. All right. Anyways, there's literally less than a year difference between Alexandre and Ilya, but I guess that can happen, right? Yeah, I guess, yeah, no, it can, I think. Anyways, no, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, Alexandre is back. He won his first UFC fight against Kobe Thickness. It was a good win, right? I mean, Volk was in one corner, Ilya was in the other, and Topuria looks good. Wins every single round, outstrikes Thickness, outgrapples him when he needs to in the 3rd round to secure the victory. Good win, right? That was a good win for Topuria. He's now taking on Beksat Almakhan here, and I do believe Alexandre is going to win. I think if he's able to get out of the way of the early onslaught of Beksat, because that's what we've seen out of him, at least in the Umar fight and the Katona fight, if he's able to get out the way of harm's way early, because we know, again, that's where Almakhan throws his best shots, I think Alexandre is going to be able to take over the fight. I do like his volume. It was solid against Thickness. Again, he was leading the dance. He was grappling when he needed to. And we have seen as well, Almakhan has been grappled before. And I get it. It is just Umar Nurmagomedov. But throughout the entire course of the Almakhan career, there's not been a real high emphasis on grappling. It's been a lot of striking fights, really, again, outside the UFC. When he fought in Octagon, not the Octagon, the other one, the one in Kazakhstani Octagon promotion. It was a lot of it was a lot of striking fights for Beksat. He was fighting a lot of kickboxers, and a lot of guys who were just willing to engage in pure striking battles the entire time. There was no threat of grappling, so that's why it was like the perfect matchup for Umar, obviously, and Umar destroyed him. And last fight though for Almakhan, he doesn't really, Katona, I think would have grappled him eventually, but obviously the fight never got there because Almakhan knocked him out before Katona could even get to the legs. I mean, the fight ended in a minute. So if this fight's drawn out, which I expect it to, I don't think that, Almakhan's going to be able to finish Topuria right away. I do think Alexandre is eventually going to, punch his way to a decision. I think he's going to, jab his way and then wrestle his way to a decision. I think that's the pretty obvious, low spot in the Almakhan game. And I get it, it's just Umar, but it's beyond just, Umar Nurmagomedov out-grappled him. Look at every single fight Almakhan has had. There's no, grappling credentials or history. Again, I don't know if he has credentials. He may have, but there's nothing really to base off what his grappling game is other than the Umar fight. And, he didn't get finished. He looked all right down there. But what I'm saying, the takedowns should be there for Alexandre. And it's not like I think, Alexandre's that far off his striking either. I think the only thing Alexandre doesn't have compared to Bezkat is that power. I haven't seen the one-punch knockout power out of Alexandre Topuria like I know Bezkat has. But other than that, I think the fight's pretty even. And I think there are multiple ways Topuria can win compared to legitimately just one way Almakhan can win. And the one way Almakhan can win is by chinning Alexandre. And obviously, against mixed martial arts, everyone's got a puncher's chance. But I'm going to take Alexandre Topuria to beat Bezkat Almakhan. I believe he's going to get it done by unanimous decision, going to 2-0 now in the UFC. As we move on now to our 5th fight of the night, and welcome back, Kyoji Horiguchi. It's about damn time. Kyoji is finally back. He is 35 now, but hey, Tagir Ulanbekov's 34. Why is Kyoji fighting Tagir Ulanbekov? It's like you want him to lose. What are we doing? I'm not saying he's going to lose. We'll get into the full breakdown in a second. But are we dead ass? He comes back, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, he might just straight up, he'll just get Pantoja. Pantoja needs challengers after Josh Van. They'll just give the winner Horiguchi. Or he'll fight like Manel Kape or Brandon Royval. Nope. Go fight number, 13th Tagir Ulanbekov? Are we serious? And, if you wanted to give him a low-level guy so he could just beat, okay, give him a Bruno Silva? Or a, Kai Kara France? Or Amir Albazi? Or Tim Elliott, who I know has been winning fights, or give him a Kai Asakura rematch. I don't know, give him one of those guys. But no, Horiguchi's got to fight Tagir Ulanbekov, who, I'll say it now, I think he's going to beat, but it's just like, what is there to win now for Horiguchi? Oh, you win, you beat the 14th ranked guy, you lose, well, oh, you lost the 14th ranked fighter. Ulanbekov's 6-1 in the UFC, he's really good, he just hasn't really gotten a chance to fight a really good fighter yet. This is crap, dude. I've been waiting years for Horiguchi to be back in the UFC. And if you don't know, again, so Kyoji Horiguchi's first run in the UFC. He starts his UFC run 4-0, gets a title shot, loses. Okay, he's down 4 rounds to nothing. Demetrius Johnson with the second left goes to an armbar and submits him. Okay, whatever. So Horiguchi loses to Mighty Mouse, wins 3 more fights after that, finishes it off with a victory over the number 3 ranked Aliev Bagantinov, puts himself in a position to maybe get a title shot up next. But no, then the UFC cuts all the flyweights for the most part. They kept like 8. But Horiguchi and Bagantinov and all those guys got cut. So Horiguchi goes to Rizin, wins the Rizin Championship on his way to winning the Rizin Grand Prix. Not the champ, well, he wins the championship later, but in the way of winning the Grand Prix, he beats Manel Kape, then wins the actual Rizin Championship against Darren Caldwell, then goes to Bellator, wins the Bellator Championship against Darren Caldwell. The Rizin was vacant, and then Caldwell had the Bellator Championship. He takes Caldwell's belt at Bellator. He then loses his first fight to Kai Asakura, whatever. Then beats Kai Asakura for the Bantamweight Championship. Then goes back to Bellator to defend his championship. Is up 3 rounds to nothing against Sergio Pettis to the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Gets luckily just a complete luck-based spinning back fist by Pettis. Then runs into Patchy Mix when Patchy Mix actually knew how to fight. Gets grappled for 25 minutes, loses. Goes back to Rizin, wins a couple bouts. Then recaptures or gets the Rizin Flyweight Championship. They made a flyweight belt. He wins the inaugural Rizin Flyweight belt. Defends it once. Gets his get back against Sergio Pettis. Now he signs back with the UFC. And he's fighting Ulanbekov. Why? He should be fighting for gold. He should be fighting the winner. He should be fighting the winner of Kape, could fight the winner of Kape, Royval. He should be fighting the winner of Van and Pantoja, man, and not on an undercard. Are we serious? And this card starts like 7 o'clock my time. This fight's gonna be like at 8:30 in the morning. Like, I'll try to get up, but like, really? This is unbelievable stuff. You couldn't even throw him on the main card. With all due respect, why is Alex Perez and also Almabayev on the main card? I don't give a damn. I don't care about that fight. Do we know how good Kyoji Horiguchi is? And it's just like, I think he beats Ulanbekov. It's a tricky fight, man. It really is. Ulanbekov's got a good striking game, man. He's not really like OUCO, Russian, Makachala, Sambo fighter. He's not the best, I'll say that. Like, Azat Moskam out-scrambled him. No. Ulanbekov out-scrambled Moskam. Moskam was the one getting takedowns. And Ulanbekov couldn't get a takedown against Moskam. Ulanbekov won, but his pure wrestling's not very good. His scrambles and his ability again, Sambo ability on the ground is actually pretty solid. He submitted Durden. On the feet is where Ulanbekov's really good at. Now, he got knocked down and lost to Tim Elliott once upon a time, back in March of 2022. But, I don't know, man. I think I think Horiguchi's gonna beat him. I think Horiguchi will win. But this is my gripe with this too. And I get it. Asakura's like a superstar in Japan. Horiguchi's 1-1 with Asakura. He beat Asakura in their last fight for the Rising Bantamweight Championship. Never lost again to Asakura. Asakura immediately got gifted a title shot and fought Tim Elliott, by the way, in his second fight after a loss for the belt, who is still ranked higher than Ulanbekov and beat Ulanbekov. And now Horiguchi, who's 7-1 in the UFC, 35 years of age, reigning Rising Flyweight champion. This should be a super fight. Oh my goodness, you brought in Asakura when he wasn't even the champ. And immediately, go ahead. This time last year, go fight Pantoja. We need a challenger. Horiguchi, then, oh my goodness, he's actually the champ. You want a super fight? That's Kyoji Horiguchi. He went 14-1 in Rizin. Oh my goodness, I don't know what they're doing. We've waited years for Horiguchi to be back. I've been waiting for years, and this is what they do. If he doesn't beat Taiguchi Ulanbekov, man, I'm gonna be so pissed. Horiguchi by decision. I think it's great value as an underdog. Come back for the best bets later in the week. I can almost guarantee you this is gonna be on there. I think he's gonna style Ulanbekov. I don't think people realize how good Kyoji still is. He's fighting randoms in Japan. He's fighting Sergio Perez. He's fighting it was Makoto Shinru, who at the time was 15-1. I know he's lost a bunch of fights now, but he's fighting good fighters over there. He beat Hirosima Ogabiku, I think his name is. He's beating good guys over in Rizin. Trust me, Horiguchi's still very talented at 35. He will beat Ulanbekov. I just absolutely hate the booking. Give me Kyoji Horiguchi by decision. Next up, we go on to, the punching bag is back. Wow. I mean, how does buddies keep getting fights? What does Rafael Cerqueira have on the UFC, and why is he still, no, I know what they're doing. We all know what they're doing. They want Abdulrahman Yakhyaev to win a fight. That's all it is. Sure, whatever. There's a reason Yakhyaev is the biggest favorite on the card, -1,000. Cerqueira comes back at you at +560. And you know what? I got to give Cerqueira a lot of credit in his last fight. He went the distance, okay? He did not get knocked out in the first round for the first time in his UFC career. He was not a victim of a first-round knockout. He made the distance against Julius Walker. Walker still beat him by decision. Walker actually knocked him down in the third round of that fight, and it was a pretty clear 30-27. One judge gave it 30-26. Julius Juicebox Walker dominated the bout. I was just disappointed Walker could not get a finish. But Cerqueira is back. He gets his 4th UFC fight. And on Tapology, 97% of voters are taking Abdulrahman Yakhyaev to win. For a great reason. Now, Yakhyaev comes off the Contender Series. This is a former Aries fighter. He was the Aries FC light heavyweight champion. Came into the UFC and beat Eric Lorenz in his fight on the Contender Series. Won by 30-second knockout. It was brutal, it was quick, and it was over right away. We expected it, right? Yakhyaev was a -1,200 favorite on the Contender. I predicted him to win actually by first round sub. I didn't think the knockout was going to happen, but whatever. We predicted the first round finish, and he did exactly that. The same thing's going to happen here. This is a Chechenian fighter in Yakhyaev. He now trains out of Turkey, but he is originally from and born in Chechnya, Russia. He's only 24 years of age. It's a guy who's still getting better, and they have given him the perfect entry-level spot or perfect entry-level fight into the UFC imaginable. If I'm a light heavyweight and I look at the entire roster, who do I want to fight first? If I get a choice of anybody, maybe they did this with Yakhyaev. They said, you know what? We were so impressed by your finish. Who do you want to fight in your first UFC fight? My options would be Cerqueira. I would think maybe Kevin Christian, honestly. I would think Dayar Nurgoje, and maybe a Tuco Tokos. Or a Junior Tafa if he's still in the UFC. Junior Tafa instead of Tuco Tacos. Okay. I'm taking Cerqueira, though. On Tapology's rankings, they rank every single fighter on the UFC roster. And at light heavyweight, dead last at 42nd on the roster is Rafael Cerqueira. Below fighters like Dayar Nurgoje, Kevin Christian, Jackson McVeigh, Ozzy Diaz, Ivan Urslan, Bruno Lopez, Junior Tafa. Yeah, the bottom of the barrel is Rafael Cerqueira, who is 0-3 in the promotion. And it makes perfect sense. Guys, Rafael Cerqueira still does the same thing. Julius Walker could not finish him because Julius Walker was not aggressive enough. He tried to take down Cerqueira, and he was very successful at that, but he couldn't get a finish because the way you finish Cerqueira is on the feet. And you know what? Good for Julius Walker. A win is a win is a win, right? I'm not going to slight a guy for getting a win in the UFC. Good on him. Julius Walker got his first win in the promotion. Huge, big time. He wrestled Cerqueira and eventually opened up the hands late in the fight and knocked down Cerqueira but could not get a finish. But Rafael Cerqueira's solution to getting hit in the face and getting blitzed is either one of two things. Either high guard, but a high guard like this, so his face just exposed and he just keep getting hit in the face, or, I'm serious, I mean, he throws like Sid the Sloth on the feet, and then when he does go into a high shell, he just gets the shit beat out of him. I mean, I don't know how the guy's still in the promotion. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Watch the Ibo Aslan fight, man. The Ibo Aslan fight. Cerqueira just gets blitzed right away. It's Aslan hook, straight hook. It's like a 9-punch combo. 9-punch blitz. Aslan knocks him out. Bukowskis, same thing. Yeah, Yakhyaev by first round knockout. If he's serious about fighting in the UFC, you have to knock out Cerqueira in the first round. Is the absolute gift that the UFC has given Yakhyaev, so you better take advantage of it here. There's not a better entry level fight than this. Abdulrahman Yakhyaev has been gifted a first round knockout win over Rafael Cerqueira. We'll see you later when you actually fight an actual opponent. But good on him. Get your first UFC victory any way you can get it. Give me Yakhyaev to win by first round knockout. Next up, we go to the featherweight division. Here's our final debut of the entire card, the 5th if you're counting at home. Luke Riley makes his UFC debut in the featherweight division against Bogdan Grad. By far the highest profile name making their debut. Sagid is pretty big time too, but Luke Riley, I think, has the most potential out of any of these guys. Izagakhmaev is good, but he's 31. Luke Riley's only 26, and obviously the UFC feels a type of way about him if he's not having to fight in the Contender Series and instantly again being hoisted on to the featured prelim on this card in Qatar. So anyways, he's going to be taking on Bogdan Grad. Grad, 15-3 as a pro in the UFC, is 1-1 coming off a loss to Muhammad Naimov over, and was that in Azerbaijan? Yes, it was in Baku, Azerbaijan. Grad, again, 1-1. The promotion, his one victory is a win over Lucas Alexander, but Lucas Alexander, never the best UFC fighter. Grad beat him in Saudi Arabia on that Adesanya and Imavov card earlier this year. That fight feels like a long time ago. Izzy fought this year? Does that not feel like last year when Izzy fought? I get it's been like 8 months, 9 months now, but I feel that fight was like way longer ago when Izzy lost to Imavov. Anyways, Bogdan Grad taking on Luke Riley here. Grad 1-1 in the UFC, won in the Contender Series in a back-and-forth affair against Michael Acewell. But the last fight against Naimov, competitive fight. Naimov does work on the ground. Striking-wise, they're competitive. It's close scorecards. Again, they give it to Naimov by decision. Okay, Luke Riley should win this fight. Luke Riley's, from what I've seen in Cage Warriors, very good striking, quick hands, he throws hard, and he's efficient on the feet. He's fought every single fight in his professional career in Cage Warriors, all 11 of them. He started in 2021. He's only fought in Cage Warriors, and sure, he's kind of felt like a Cage Warriors brought-up talent, I understand, but so meaning that they've given him fights that he can easily win, but he's won every single one of them so far. He was supposed to fight in the Contender Series in 2024 against Kevin Vallejos, which, oh boy, that would have been just pure violence. And why, by the way, why is Vallejos gonna be fighting on the in the Apex next month? Final card of the year. You couldn't get this guy on the pay-per-view card. You're gonna fight him. You couldn't fight in the. You couldn't find the Marab card. You gotta have him fight Chikadze on an undercard of the last fight in the card, last card of the year in the Apex. Guys, there's a reporter who asked Dana White about, are you guys gonna get out of the Apex more next year? And Dana responds with, "What do you mean? You want me to never go home? I'm at home like 2 days out of the year." I'm like, dude, all right. Like, with all due respect, I like Dana White. Okay, I actually do. Dude, in 2019, you used to go from city to city every single week. And here's the thing, Dana, you just didn't used to go to all of them, which is fine. Like, you don't need to be at a random card in Portland, Oregon. Like, you don't need to be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. You can stay in Vegas for those. Like, the promotion needs to travel and get out the Apex. That was my one gripe with the press conference. UFC press conferences are odd to say the least. Michael Morales talked for like 30 minutes yesterday after the fight. Anyways, though, I don't know why Vallejos is in the Apex, but Luke Riley was supposed to fight Vallejos in the Contender Series. Riley had visa issues. Vallejos ended up fighting, oh goodness, who did he beat instead? It was Cam Teague, who he beat instead. Cam Teague, who since then has lost a second time on the Contender Series, losing to Larion Douglas. But anyways, that was going to be a huge fight, a big fight. Riley gets to dodge that one, gets another fight in Cage Warriors instead. In the meanwhile, wins. By the way, he didn't fight Vallejos due to visa issues, and now here he is fighting Bogdan Grad in a big fight. I think Riley's going to win. I think so. Bogdan Grad looked good in the Lucas Alexander fight. Naimov's a competitive one. Did fight and lose to Tom Nolan on the Contender Series. You know, Tom Nolan, we'll see. Jury's still out. I know he's 4-1. I'm not too sold on Tom Nolan just yet. He's only 25 as a prospect, I understand. We'll see. But Grad's very beatable, 100%. And if Riley is what I think he's going to be with crisp hands and whatnot, and just, again, dominant so far in Cage Warriors, he should be able to beat a guy like Bogdan Grad. Again, Luke Riley's only getting better. He's 26 years of age, still improving. I think he wins this one. I like what he does in the feet. Again, sharp hands, quick hands, throws nice straights, throws nice ones and twos. I think Riley's easily going to win this fight. I think second round TKO over Bogdan Grad. I mean, obviously the UFC feels highly enough about Riley where they've got 5 fighters making their debut on this card, and Riley's the featured prelim. He's above all of these guys, including Izagakhmaev, who's, I think, going to be pretty solid and probably going to knock out Nicholas Dalby. I think, again, huge spot for Luke Riley, but he is the superior striker in this fight with him and Bogdan Grad. Grappling-wise, I guess we'll see. I don't know. I don't think it hits the ground, so I don't think we have to really concern ourselves about that. But in a striking battle, which I expect it to be, Luke Riley will win the fight. Give me the British fighter Luke Riley to win by second round TKO over Bogdan Grad. On to the main card opener, and here it is. Oh, wow. Needs to be on the main card over Kyoji Horiguchi, Alex Perez, and Asu Almabayev. Ooh. I mean, it's just, and I have nothing against these two guys. It's just dumb. Horiguchi has 34 professional wins, and he's fighting below Rafael Cerqueira? I mean, come on, dude. Really? You know, Horiguchi should be getting the Alex Perez fight. That's the fight he should be getting. That should be, oh my goodness, that's an easy victory for Horiguchi. Perez is fighting Asu Almabayev. Alex Perez is back for the first time since Tatsuro Taira took out his knee intentionally. I know Perez was booked against Steve Erceg, but he got injured. What's new? But for now, Alex Perez is supposed to fight this week. I know, again, sometimes it's hard for Perez to actually get in the octagon, even though he did fight quite a bit towards the end of 2024. Just in 2024 in general, he's very active at 3 fights in like 4 months. And then Taira said, you know what? Nah, there goes your knee. Which, whatever. Right? Never seen that before. Taira won the fight by intentionally, folding Alex Perez's knee. At least that's what Taira took credit for doing that. He said it himself. Yeah, I practiced that. Okay. So that killed the activity out of Alex Perez, who for the first time in forever fought a lot in 2024. Lost to Yakhyaev, then beat Mateus Nicolau, obviously, and then lost to Taira in a main event. Was booked against Steve Erceg earlier this year. Fight got canceled due to an injury. Now Perez is fighting here in Qatar against Asu Almabayev. Don't forget, by the way, Alex Perez, former UFC title challenger, fought Deiveson Figueiredo in the Apex for the World Championship way back when. Anyways, he's taking on Asu Almabayev, who is 22-3 as a professional, but 5-1 in the UFC, with his only loss being Manel Kape. It should go to show how good Manel Kape is. Almabayev's last win over Jose Ochoa. I thought Ochoa was going to win. That's my bad on that one. I was really disappointed in the fight as a whole, because Almabayev does what we reward fighters for doing now these days, and just the new style of fight, which is wrestle, takedown. All right, I'm not going to look to advanced positioning. I'm going to hold you here, and I'm going to hold you here, and I'm going to hold you here. Sure, I'll give Almabayev credit. He tried to advance positioning in the first round, and he tried to submit Ochoa. Second and third rounds, Almabayev gets a takedown and just lays there. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't strike. Doesn't just, I'm going to win. So, you know what? If judges are going to keep scoring that, though, what are you going to do? And if referees aren't going to stand those fights up, because, yeah, you are in dominant position, you're in half guard, you're in side control. Okay, can't change the scorecards. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's just, that's how it works sometimes now in the UFC. I don't know what to say. Asu Almabayev, though, is going to be taking on Alex Perez. Perez, has decent wrestling. He does. I don't think it's good enough to combat Almabayev. Because, again, Perez's wrestling is decent, but it gets to a point when he fights really good wrestlers, they beat him. Look at Yakhyaev, look at Tatsuro Taira, look at Joseph Benavidez. Benavidez knocked him out. But Perez has been around for quite a bit. I mean, this is a guy who was in the first ever Contender Series season back in 2017. Now has put together 12 fights in the UFC. He's only 33 years of age. He's just been around for quite a bit. Again, yeah, only 33 with all these injuries. He's still, not young anymore, but again, not an old fighter at the same time either. Almabayev should win. I think it's going to be a wrestle every approach out of Asu, and I just don't think Perez really has much for him. Striking-wise, I think they're competitive. I mean, Perez, when he lets the hands go, he's not bad. Like, look at the Nicolau fight. But ultimately, guys, Alex Perez has won 1 fight in the last 5 years. That's a real stat. And sure, he has not been the most active, but I will walk you through his last 5 years. Let's date back now to November 21st. It's going to be pretty much exactly 5 years when he fights Almabayev. It's going to be 5 years and a day since he fought Deiveson Figueiredo. Main event, UFC 258 was that fight? 250, I forget what. 255. He fought Figueiredo. Figueiredo submits him. Obviously, there's a caught low kick, and Figueiredo, sinks in the guillotine, wraps body triangle around, wins the fight. Okay. Perez then fights Pantoja in July of 22, gets submitted by neck crank, and then off for 2 more years, fights Yakhyaev, loses, beats Nicol out because Nicol doesn't have a chin in a main event. Kid you not, that fight main event an Apex card. What? I can't believe we were at a time period where that was happening. But I mean, we just main evented a card with Randy Brown, and no disrespect to Randy Brown. No, sorry, Gabriel Bonfim. Anyways, and then he loses to Tetsuro Taira in another main event. How do these keep getting main events? I don't, whatever. Luckily, Perez is not in a main event here. I think Almabayev beats him. I'm not impressed with anything Almabayev does on the feet. I watched Cop style on him for 12 minutes until he knocked him out. So I think the striking game out of Almabayev is not good. I think his grappling's good, though. I think his wrestling's good. So he's going to beat Alex Perez. That's as simple as I can put it. Perez doesn't fight often enough for me. I think Almabayev wins, and these guys are just going to keep, let's keep, boring wrestling guys to decisions, and I'm sure Paramount's going to be real happy with this, I don't know what to say. Sure. Give me Almabayev by decision. It's not going to be fun. Why is it on the main card? You're going to have Horiguchi and Ulanbekov try and knock each other's heads off on the prelims. But yet, no, let's open up the main card with Almabayev putting Perez on his back for 15 minutes. That's great booking, isn't it? That's awesome. Whatever. Next up, heavyweight fight. Here we go. Now we're starting. This is the reason John Jones retired, right? Oh, Tom Aspen, all this, Tom Aspen, all that. The reason John Jones retired was because of Shamil Gaziev. You know it, I know it, the entire world knows it. Shamil Gaziev is next up at heavyweight, okay? He has not lost a fight to an active UFC heavyweight. He is undefeated against active UFC heavyweights, and that should be applauded. He is sure the only man to ever lose a UFC fight because of eating too many hamburgers prior to the fight, but Gaziev is 14-1. He has won back-to-back fights since the hamburger incident against Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rosenstruik, and now he's won back-to-back over Dontel Mays and Thomas Peterson, and here we are, the Sergey Spivac fight, which has been booked multiple times, and now we're finally getting it. Originally booked on May 17th, that was on, oh god, what fight was that? That was Burns Morales in the Apex, and then booked again for UFC 316, where Gaziev dropped out, and then instead Spivac got to fight Waldo Cortez Acosta and lose. We are finally getting the fight. It's the fight we've all been waiting for, so it's so good they had to rebook it 3 times, and I'm very happy about that, because this is Shamil Gaziev's era. It's his time. This is the age of Gaziev. He is 35, but low-key, I think Spivac's done, guys. Being a contender. I know he's only 30, and I said that in the Waldo fight. Gaziev's kind of young still. He's going to be around. I don't know, man. Spivac looks so bad in the Waldo fight. And I know Waldo's coming off a huge win over Ante Dilia by hook or by crook, but he won. But he just gets styled on that fight, man. Waldo just straight outputs him the entire fight. Straight overwhelms Spivac in that. Fight prior to that for Spivac, he just gets out-grappled by Almeida. That's expected. Shurigan gets TKO'd, but now Spivac's lost 3 of 4, only victory being a Marcin Tybura win in the Apex. Beat Cyril Gane lost Cyril Gane obviously back in 2023, which I know against a tough opponent. Gane's next in line for the title again. But I think Gaziev's going to beat Spivac. Now, here's the thing about Gaziev. Is he built for 5 rounds? Obviously not. We have seen that in the past with the Biggie Boy fight. But again, that's in the past. And again, the guy's undefeated against current UFC heavyweights. So that needs to be mentioned. But I think Gaziev in a 3-round environment's actually okay. I think his wrestling defense is pretty solid. I mean, again, 83% takedown defense rate in the UFC. The only guy to take him down was Thomas Peterson. But what happened? Gaziev got right back up. I mean, Peterson has him down for 5 seconds, if that, and Gaziev again works his way back up. Burger King power, works his way back up, and again he shows that he's the king, man, king of Burger King and king of the Octagon. Knocks out Peterson later in that first round. He's got heavy hands. I think his wrestling defense is good enough. I mean, again, he's just one of these traditional heavyweights that can kind of brawl, and he, I guess, has a grappling background. I mean, at least we were told. That Rosenstruik fight, they promoted the entire fight. Oh, see the wrestling this guy has, he can overwhelm you down there. Got a takedown in the first round against Rosenstruik, and then didn't get one after and did his, breathing strategy of. But it's fine. It's not a 5-round fight, so I don't care. Gaziev's gonna win. Again, Jones saw the improvements Gaziev's been making. He's shook, and that's why he retired. UFC White House main event, Shamil Gaziev versus the winner of Aspinall Gane. You know, we need the whole world to see Shamil Gaziev. I think quite easily, though, he's actually going to beat Sergey Spivac. Guys, we've seen Spivac is not a very good striker. Spivac seems like he's kind of lost striking-wise. And ultimately, that's what happens if you stuff his takedowns. And I think Gaziev's, again, going to get Spivac to that point. You know, Waldo didn't have the knockout power to put Spivac away, and that's fair. And no, I don't think, you know, Spivac doesn't really just get straight chinned often. He does have 4 knockout losses, but I mean, well, I guess Aspinall chinned him with the elbow. Gane, it didn't chin him again. Gane's not going to chin anybody. It's just going to be, a progression of, just eventually you're going to succumb to the strikes of Cyril Gane. I got the Walt Harris did finish Spivac. Yeah, I think Gaziev can put him away with 1 shot. I think, again, it's going to, I don't know if it's going to be, he hits, bam, big overhand right, Gaziev puts him down. I think it's going to be an eventual, like, Gaziev blitzes him a little bit and eventually puts down Spivac and finishes him once the fight hits the mat. I just don't think, again, Spivac has much for Gaziev striking-wise. I think Gaziev's going to take it over, and once again, he's able to completely limit the wrestling game out of Spivac. It should be a dominant victory for Shamil Gaziev. Again, I'm telling you, man, the reason John Jones retired was not Aspinall, was not just retirement in general. It was Shamil Gaziev. Watch out. Shamil might eat your Burger King and win the championship at the same time. Shamil Gaziev to beat Sergey Spivac by first-round knockout. We're all aboard the Shamil train. Let's go. Next up, we move on to a big fight in the welterweight division. Jack Hermansson versus Murtabek Orolbai. I always butcher Orolbai's name, but here we are. Orolbai versus Jack Hermansson. Huge fight. It's not the featured fight because they gave that to our next one. We'll get to that in a second. But Jack Hermansson is back after his big-time loss to Gregory Rodriguez on International Fight Week. Hermansson hadn't fought in over a year. It was weird. He beat Joe Pyfer, then he just disappeared. Came back to fight Rodriguez, and he got chinned and knocked out cold. Like, completely just put out unconscious in the octagon. Now he's back. He's back to take on Orolbai. Okay. Hermansson, again, just fought in June. It's 5 months now, so I guess, again, that's enough time for the brain to heal. But I just don't love the inactivity out of Jack. And going down now to 70 is just, it's a decision, man. I don't know. Going down to 170 pounds at 37 years of age, I mean, maybe he feels like he's going to, have more control. He's going to be stronger down here fighting smaller guys. I'm trying to see, has Jack ever fought at 170? And the answer to that question is no. Jack Hermansson, not even in Cage Warriors and Bellator, when he was fighting like in 2010 when he was, 22 years old, Jack Hermansson was still fighting at 185 pounds. And now all of a sudden he's going to come up to 70? And take on, sure, a 155-pounder. That's what Orolbai really is. Last fight against Tufik Musayev was at catchweight 165. The Rebecki fight was at 160. Alves Brenner fight was at 55. He's just eventually coming up. That's okay. Again, weight issues, sure. But I don't like this at all for Jack, man. It's just, you're 37, now you're coming down in weight. If you were, 34, sure. It's just such a weird move to make after getting knocked out. And recently after getting knocked out, okay, I'm going to come down to a weight class I've never fought at. Where's the cardio going to be at? Because, yeah, again, maybe you feel like you're stronger here. Maybe you think, you can outwill guys at this weight class. Well, first, I don't think Orolbai is the guy to test that on. A really good wrestler who just submitted Tufik Musayev, which I get Musayev's grappling game's never been very good, but still, submitted Tufik Musayev in the first round, and went, life and death with Rebecki. Had a good fight against Brenner, beat Brenner, and beat Medic as well by submission. You want to test this cutout against him? Really? Again, after getting knocked out, it's a choice, man. At 37, sure, you feel like you're stronger. Where's your chin gonna be at? Where's your cardio gonna be at? Orolbai had a 15-minute war with Rebecki. Those guys were spent. And Orolbai went the distance with him. And I thought, again, Rebecki probably should have got the nod, but it was competitive, right? And Orolbai still thrown at the end of 15 minutes. Fought a very back-and-forth, high-paced style fight against Alves Brenner. Won it, 29-27. Beat Uros Medic in the second round. But again, Orolbai can go deep in fights. The cardio is not really that big of an issue for him. He hits hard, too. I know he's coming up to 70 here. But my question again is, why is Hermansson coming down? Sure, you don't see a pathway to the belt at 85 anymore, obviously, but Hermansson's got to realize there's no pathway to the belt for him at all. you're 37, and like it's not like he's a small. Hermansson's really never that small of a middleweight. Like, sure, he looked undersized against like a guy like Pyfer, because Pyfer's like 6'3", but he still beat Pyfer. Rodriguez is 6'3" as well. I mean, like Cannonier obviously used to fight at heavyweight, so he's a little undersized in that fight in terms of like a strength and physicality wise. But I just don't understand why he's going down now. It makes no sense to me. He's gonna get chinned, guys. I mean, Hermansson's losing in the first round. This, to me, like legitimately screams Dariush. You know, I kind of have a different circumstance, obviously, because Dariush didn't, you know, come down in weight at all, and Dariush actually missed weight in his fight against Benoit Saint-Denis. But, you know, you just got knocked out. You're trying to make, you know, adjustments, and now you got to come down in weight. There's a chance he doesn't even make weight, but he's still gonna have to. It's not like here's the thing. It's not like he's cutting from, you know, obviously Hermansson would never make this weight, but it's not like he's going from 55 to 45, because I get that. All right, it's 10 pounds. You're dropping 15 pounds for this one. The difference from weighing at 185 to 170 is unbelievable. It's 15 pounds at 37 years of age. You're not young anymore. I hate it for Hermansson, man. I'm going Murtabek Orolbai pretty easily. First round knockout. First big shot he lands against Hermansson. Hermansson's going down. That's how much confidence, the lack of confidence I have in Hermansson after the Rodriguez fight. This is all a Kyrgyzstani fighter and Murtabek Orolbai to beat Jack Hermansson in the very first round. On now to our featured fight of the night, and we move to the light heavyweight division. Volkan, no time Oezdemir takes on Alonzo Menifield. They keep giving Menifield kind of big fights, and I understand he keeps winning, but I don't know, he's 38, and, you know, Menifield's never going to be a title challenger. And I guess you can say that about Volkan, too. Ozdemir's never going to reach the heights again, which he reached when he fought Daniel Cormier. Now, obviously, that fight's been mentioned recently when DC had that little talk with Tom Aspinall about, Jaiton can't fight. And by the way, DC's talking about he thinks he can just beat Jaiton in a fight right now, too, which maybe he can. But anyways, I don't know why DC hates Almeida. I guess he's just rolling with it now. Also, in that little discussion that gets leaked, I guess, DC says that fights like Aspinall is going to have in his title reign are going to be comparable to the fights DC had in his second title reign, where he thought he won the lottery when he got to fight Volkan Oezdemir. So Volkan, here, man, you've got the ultimate chip on your shoulder now. Daniel Cormier, UFC commentator Daniel Cormier, who I doubt is going to be on the call for this fight. Maybe they send DC to Qatar. Nah, this feels like a John Gooden and Dominic Cruz and a Michael Bisping call, in my opinion, or Felder/Bisping. We'll see. Felder/Cruz plus Bisping call. But regardless, maybe they send DC here. But you've got Daniel Cormier talking on your name. Hey man, you're still fighting. You're 36. You're not fat. No disrespect to DC. I like DC. But go show him. Go win. The DC curse or the DC hate watch is 1-0. He hate watched Jaiton losing to Alexander Volkov. How DC might get back in the octagon and fight Jaiton himself now. Not because anything Jaiton did, just DC thinks he sucks. So it's hilarious. I don't know why DC hates Jaiton Almeida. But Volkan Oezdemir, all right, man, go prove DC wrong. Go beat a 38-year-old Alonzo Menifield. Guys, I don't think Menifield's ever even close to Volkan. That might sound crazy. I don't think Menifield has anything for Volkan Oezdemir. I just watched Alonzo Menifield barely beat Umar Sy in a bad fight. Sure, he wins, I guess. Kind of. Does he really win? Sure, give it to him, I guess. Okay, cool. And then beats Julius Walker in a weird one, man. Julius Walker couldn't finish Rafael Cerqueira. And I watched Julius Walker and Alonzo Menifield fight a back and forth fight, 15 minutes. At the end of the fight, they are so tired that I'm not joking. These are the type of strikes they're throwing. Hold on. And this is like real time and real form. Like, I mean, the end of the fight was so bad. It's fine, though. Again, early in the fight, it was good. It was just like, my point with all this is I'm not discrediting the fight. Alonzo Menifield should on paper be levels ahead of Julius Walker. Julius Walker couldn't finish Rafael Cerqueira. Who's Alonzo Menifield's best win? Legitimately. Justin Jacoby? In a fight that I guess he won. Again, 10-point must system. Yeah, it is Menifield's fight, I think. But it's a competitive one. This is his best win ever. Volkan Oezdemir's fought Daniel Cormier. He's fought Carlos Oberg. He's fought Nikita Kirillov. He beat Johnny Walker 2 fights ago. Walker's kind of back now because he just found a way to beat Mingyang Zhang. Well, okay, what happened prior to the Mingyang Zhang fight for Johnny Walker? Oezdemir chinned him and knocked him out with an uppercut. Oezdemir's fought everyone. He fought Yuri, fought Rakic, fought Aliev. I mean, like, I don't think he's fought Dominic Reyes. Menifield's gonna be nothing to him here, guys. Menifield doesn't pose a knockout threat. Last time Menifield knocked anybody out was Oscar Morazov, who was the fake guy, the fake UFC fighter, who legitimately faked his record to get in the UFC. That's Menifield's last knockout win. Other than that, you got to go back to 2019. Oh, no, sorry, he knocked out Serkinov. Okay, I don't care if you knock out Misha Serkinov. Misha Serkinov was like 38 when that fight happened, too. I have no trust in Menifield. His hands, I think, have gotten worse. Honestly, he doesn't really put anyone down anymore. Oezdemir still has good striking. I know the Oezdemir chin has been a little bit suspect at times, but I don't really think it is right. Don't think it is right now. And truly, like, I do just believe he's so much better than Alonzo Menifield. This is like an almost disrespectful booking for Oezdemir, but you know what? I don't care. It gets Oezdemir a victory. Don't forget, though, Oezdemir had 1-2 of 3. Or has 1-2 of 3 going into this one. Yeah, he lost to Olberg in a very close fight, which they just gave to Olberg because he's a young star, and I guess, you know, Olberg looks like he's winning, even though if you really watch the fight, you can make an argument for Oezdemir 1-2. I'm not saying he wins it, but 327s on 2 of the 3 cards is ridiculous for Olberg. It's stupid. Whatever. I guess Olberg's going to fight for a belt next. He's going to fight Pereira, I guess. If Pereira's not going up to heavyweight. But Oezdemir is levels ahead of Menifield, man. Levels ahead of this guy. He'll beat him by knockout in the first, I really think. Don't forget, again, Oezdemir beat Bogdan Gusgov in the first round. Gusgov's got a lot of hype around him right now. Gusgov's winning fights. He's beat Krylov. He's going to fight Jan Blachowicz on the pay-per-view. Yeah, 3 fights ago, Oezdemir submitted him in the first round. And yeah, it was Gusgov's first fight in the promotion, I understand, but that still means something. Guskov hasn't lost since. And then Oezdemir knocks out Johnny Walker, and just because he loses to Carl Soberg, he's got to fight Menifield? This is easy money, man. No time, Oezdemir. First round knockout victory over Alonzo Atomic Menifield. Next up, we move on to the co-main event. Could be a pay-per-view on a lot of fight night cards, and I'm very disappointed this is not 5 rounds. But I will say this now, this is not giving away the pick. Who does this hurt more that it's not 5 rounds? Belal Muhammad. I entirely think so. I believe a lot in the Belal gas tank. I think I'm in a minority here. I actually like watching Belal Muhammad fight. At least I have taken a liking to watching Belal Muhammad fight recently, okay? The Sean Brady fight was what really turned me around on Belal. I've come to really appreciate what Belal Muhammad does in the octagon, okay? He's actually pretty entertaining. Recently, he's been pretty entertaining. I know he's coming off a loss to Jack Della Maddalena, which now means a little bit more because, yes, Jack dealt with the grappling and wrestling out of Belal, but could not get up against Islam, which that's just more of, I think, Islam's Islam, but it is what it is. Belal now takes on Ian Machado Garry, who just beat Carlos Prates, who just flatlined and knocked out Leon Edwards. There's just a lot of moving pieces in the welterweight division. Now, don't get me wrong, the next title challenger, I don't know, he's not going to sell the most pay-per-views, and he's not the most well-known, but the next title challenger should be Michael Morales, and I think that's very simple. And right now, I will book you the entire 170-pound division after I pick a winner for this fight. But the next title challenger, I think, undoubtedly, is Morales. How do you not give him the fight after the way that he went out there and beat Sean Brady? Oh, by the way, he's undefeated. Anyways, though, Ian Machado Garry, Belal Muhammad, I'll say, I hate the fight for Belal. I hate it. You're fighting a guy who's 10 years younger than you, and Ian Machado Garry, who we like to clown him quite a bit, he's pretty good. He is very good. His only loss is a short-notice fight to Shavkat. Yes, he was trading for Joaquin Buckley, who he would have beaten, but he, last second, takes on Shavkat. Instead, everyone gets shuffled around. Machado Garry gets Rachmanov. Buckley gets Covington. Garry loses to Shavkat, but it's a competitive one, right? It's not the best fight. Ian Garry wins 2 rounds, and again, it's a tight fight. That's Ian Machado Garry's only loss ever. And he just beat Carlos Prates. Yes, was he in a world of hurt and a world of trouble at the end of the fight? Undoubtedly, right? Carlos Prates had him in danger at the end of it. But what happens, Garry still wins. Again, you cannot knock the guy for winning. He just does that. The win over Prates is big time, man. He wins 3 rounds to 2. I think it's the right card. I don't mind a 4-1 there. But Ian Garry wins striking-wise. And we just saw what Prates did to Leon Edwards, saw what he did to Jeff Neal. That's a very good fighter in Carlos Prates. And Ian Machado Garry outstruck him and wrestled when he needed to. Obviously, there's not going to be any offensive wrestling for Ian Machado Garry, but he'll need to stuff some takedowns on Saturday against Belal Muhammad, because that's what Belal is going to try to do. Belal is going to try to pressure wrestle him the entire fight, which that's what he has to do, right? Look at the Wonder Boy fight. I think that's the best comp you can make here. 3-round fight. Last time Belal was in a 3-round bout. The Sean Brady fight, I think, was 3 rounds, but still. Last time he was in a, 3-round fight against a pure striker who, primary striker who can grapple was, well, Wonderboy can't really grapple, but regardless, was Wonderboy. And Bilal, I get it, Machado Garry's got much better wrestling than Stephen Wonderboy Thompson does, but Bilal just held Wonderboy down and kept hitting takedowns, kept finding ways to the hips, kept bringing him back down. It's there for Bilal. Again, I think Bilal's a very great wrestler. I've said this before. I think maybe one of the greatest takedowns I've ever witnessed was legitimately Bilal Muhammad dropping to a high crotch and dumping Leon Edwards on his head. I mean, there's not many better takedowns ever than that. I mean, Matt Hughes Frank Trigg, where Hughes picks up Frank Trigg and walks him back to his own corner. Now that's something. That's the greatest takedown in UFC history. But Bilal dumping Leon on his head was phenomenal stuff. And that's like, I've really come to appreciate what Bilal Muhammad does. I don't think Bilal's, boring. I think he throws high output on the feet. I don't really think he's going to want to throw much here because I think Ian Garry's going to outstrike him and Ian Garry's going to keep range, but you're going to see a wrestle-heavy approach out of Bilal, and we'll see if he can be successful. Unfortunately for Muhammad, I don't think he's going to be. I just don't think so. I think Ian Garry's really good. I think Ian Garry's going to beat Bilal Muhammad. I think he's going to beat him by decision. I think Ian Garry's going to pick Bilal apart on the feet. I don't think Bilal is going to be able to consistently get takedowns. Maybe he gets Ian Garry down. Can he hold Ian Garry down is the question. The answer, I think, is no. I think Bilal wins a round. I think Ian Garry wins the decision. I'm going to go first 2 rounds Ian Garry, third round Bilal Muhammad, which will make us all question and give Bilal hope going into the future. What if this was a 5-round fight? Because Bilal, I think, will have momentum as the fight ends. But in a 3-round fight, I think I gotta give it to Ian Machado Garry. The striking game is really good out of Garry right now, man. He is a very good striker who is willing to fight anybody, anywhere. Again, we want to clown him for Layla, but good on the guy for winning, man. I can't knock his fights. I've come to again, 2 guys who I used to not be the biggest fans of Machado Garry and Bilal. I've come to really respect both of them. Okay, Ian Garry's a fighter and he is a winner. The win over, again, it was the Jeff Neal win pretty no. It was the Michael Venom Page win pretty no. He wins them though. Takes the Shavkat fight on short notice. That's when I gained so much respect for Garry. Takes the Prates fight to save a card or to just be a main event of a card on late notice. Does it, wins a guy that nobody wants to fight in Carlos Prates and still nobody wants to fight. Gary's his only loss in the UFC. I gotta go Garry here. I just don't think Bilal's gonna see the takedowns. I don't think he's going to be able to consistently get them. Also, Bilal's 37. You're 37, and how many fights do you really have left in the tank anymore? And after you've already reached the mountaintop, it's the hardest thing to do. Get to the world championship and have to climb back up, right? It's not like, oh, Bilal's getting an instant title fight and he gets to, okay, well, it's right back. It's right in front of you again. Just win a fight, you're the champion again. No, Bilal has already reached the pinnacle and now he's back down and you got to win fights to get back to just a chance of winning the world championship. Oh, by the way, Islam's the champion. Bilal won't fight him, will not fight him. I don't know. I think there's a very good chance Bilal is going to go up to 85 regardless of the result here. I actually think so. I think he's going to want a Dricus fight, I think. He doesn't like Dricus at all. I think that's going to be his next fight. I think Dricus probably wins just because I think Dricus is way too big for Bilal Muhammad. But, and Bilal will be 38 by the time that happens. But anyways, that's what I think is next for Bilal Muhammad. I just don't think he's able to really get a hold of Ian Garry and hold Ian Garry down. And striking-wise, even though I think Bilal's hands have improved, right, Canelo hands, I think Ian Garry's going to keep range. I think Ian Garry's going to outbox him. Now, how would I book the rest of the 170? It's pretty simple here. Okay, I don't know when Makhachev's going to fight. Let's say April. That'd be great. I'd love Makhachev to fight in March or April. You're fighting Michael Morales. Best pay-per-view, no. Like, is it going to get you the most money? No. Put him in Abu Dhabi or put him somewhere in South America. They're not going to go to Ecuador, so Brazil? Nah. You got to take Makhachev, I think, to Abu Dhabi or put him in the States, whatever. But that's where Makhachev will fight Michael Morales. Where's this leave Ian Machado Garry? Pretty simple. Kamaru Usman. That's his next fight. Kamaru Usman should be fighting Ian Machado Garry. Usman wants a title shot. You're not going to get it. Okay, Gary's your guy. I think Bilal probably goes up to 85, and you're thinking, oh, what about Prates? Shavkat Rakhmonov. Shavkat is saying that he's back now. He can't get a title shot right now. You haven't fought in over a year. Everyone's kind of passed you up. Prates is your fight. And then for Sean Brady, that's simple. Joaquin Buckley. There you go. Just booked the entire 170. And Bilal, I think, goes up. And there's really nobody else who's an actual contender now at 170 pounds. My guy, Colby Covington, I don't think he's ever going to fight. So, I don't know. If Colby comes back, how about Stephen Thompson at the White House? Anyways, give me Ian Machado Garry to win by decision. Yep, I think he's going to do it, and I think Ian Garry will now get a big fight against Kamaru Usman, I think on the White House lawn. It's going to be a main card or a White House fight. Usman, Garry. Yeah, I think that's going to happen next. And dare I say, Ian Garry beats Kamaru Usman. I don't know. We'll see. I think Ian Garry's really good, and he's only getting better at 28. Next up, main event. This guy still fights? Oh, whoops. This guy still fights. I guess he does. Arman Tsarukyan is back, and he's taking on Dan Hooker. It's about damn time Arman's back. And I'm excited that Arman Tsarukyan is back and fighting. The guy has not fought, though, since UFC 300. And that was 18 months ago. Unbelievable. He is, was supposed to get a title shot against Islam, misses weight. Oh, back injury. He missed weight. He's trying to get back in the UFC's good graces by being a backup fighter, an alternate. Obviously, he was not needed. And now he's got to work his way back to a title shot. He's got to try to beat Dan Hooker. Now, who's getting the next title fight at Ilia Topuria? I don't know. The UFC is doing something weird right now. They have not booked a single fight yet for 2026. There's not a single fight booked. There's only one event that's, said to be happening. Obviously, there's going to be a million fights on Paramount, but there's only one card scheduled right now. That's UFC 324 in Vegas. They're going to do back-to-back pay-per-views in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. No headliner. Nothing yet. Don't understand. So, again, 95% of the UFC roster has no fight scheduled right now because there are 0 fights scheduled for 2025 or 2026 or 0 fights announced for 2026. My point with all this being is who's getting the title shot? Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje, or now, since nothing's been announced, Arman, if he's impressive, can steal the title shot and force then Paddy and Gaethje to fight each other. And good on Arman. No, again, this is the UFC's fault for not booking Ilia yet. We assume Ilia is going to be on the January card, but if Arman's trying to get in the good graces, he wins, knocks out Hooker, and says, all right, I'll fight in 2 months. I don't care. I'll fight you in 2 months, Ilia. Let's do it. And if I'm Arman Tsarukyan, that's absolutely the game plan. You are trying to knock out Dan Hooker as soon as possible and then get a world championship fight. Now, we'll get into that in a second, but who knows who's fighting next for the belt? We thought it was Gaethje for the longest time. Then there was rumors that maybe it's actually Paddy. I still think it's probably going to be Gaethje, but I don't know. There's rumors Paramount wanted Paddy instead because it's money. Obviously, it would be a big money fight. Arman gets a chance to steal it this week and make, honestly, Paddy and Gaethje fight each other. Or if Gaethje just wants to retire, okay, goodbye. I love Gaethje, but you got to fight. I'm not against Gaethje getting a title shot, but if you don't get it, you're still a fight away from the belt. And it's not like Paddy's not a big fight. Go take the Paddy fight. It's not like they're... If the UFC offers Gaethje Arman, okay, I get it. Go retire. It's not a big-time fight. It's you're a fight away from the belt, but tougher fight than Paddy is, even though Paddy's really good, but still, I think tougher fight than Paddy is, and not a big name. Sure. Fight that Gaethje probably doesn't win, okay? If it's Paddy, though, Gaethje needs to take that fight. Anyways, Arman Tsarukyan, Dan Hooker, main event. I don't know why Dan Hooker keeps getting these big fights. Are we not forgetting what, Dan Hooker, did he really beat Jalen Turner? Yeah. Did he beat Gamrot? No. I don't think he beat Mateusz Gamrot. Dan Hooker has been gifted so many decisions throughout the entirety of his career. It's unbelievable. Look at the fight against Paul Felder, for an example. I don't know. I thought Paul Felder won that fight. It's close. I get it. I actually thought Felder won. Look at the fight against Gamrot. Jalen Turner's close. I think you should give it to Hooker, but I don't disagree. I wouldn't argue if you said, oh, Jalen Turner won. I'd be like, all right, yeah, it's a coin flip. It's a toss-up, right? Hooker's gotten the benefit of the doubt in so many decisions, and he's back at a point where he's in the top 5 after wins over Puelles, Jalen Turner, and then barely beating Gamrot. And now he's back in a top 5 spot. He's supposed to fight Gaethje. Obviously, Hooker fell out with the hand injury, and then in came Fiziev, and obviously Gaethje beat Fiziev. I thought Gaethje was going to beat up on Hooker too, I'll be honest with you. But now Dan Hooker gets another main event against one of the toughest guys to fight in the weight class, in Arman Tsarukyan. It's not like, we don't see Arman fight that often, but it should be talked to, Arman is very good. Arman's only losses ever are Makhachev and Mateusz Gamrot. He's beaten everybody else. He's 8-2 in the UFC, 22-3 as a pro. I guess he lost a fight back in 2015 in Armenia? In Russia. Okay, whatever. This is a very talented fighter who is one of the highest skilled fighters in the UFC. My problem with Arman is we just don't see him. All things considered, though, I'm not going to keep you. I'm not going to hold you. He's going to knock out Dan Hooker very, very early in this fight, okay? The way Dan Hooker fights, he gets hit way too much, And if you're getting hit way too much, like against a guy like Arman Tsarukyan, you're getting put down. Ask Beneil Dariush. And oh, by the way, Hooker gets sloppy. He actually sees some success striking. Okay, what happens? Arman takes him down and puts him on his back. Arman took down and held Charles Oliveira on his back. And yeah, Charles almost had him in that front choke at the end of the fight. I understand. Arman survives. Arman wins a split decision. It's the right call. Arman beat Charles in that fight. It is. It's the right decision. And don't forget how good Arman looked early in the fight. And don't forget, again, look at the Dariush fight. And I know, again, Benoit just did it. But no, Arman knocked out Dariush, and Dariush is still in the top 5. It was a huge win for Arman in San Antonio. He puts Dariush down and puts him out cold early in the bout. Arman is an all-around perfect fighter. He is. You just don't see him fight often enough, and we don't get to put that to the test. Now, is he going to be perfect against Ilya? I'll be honest with you, no, I don't think he beats Topuria. Do not think he beats Ilya. Because you want to talk about Arman being perfect? Well, I don't know what above perfect is, but that's what Ilya Topuria is as a fighter, okay? If Ilya was like 6'1", he'd be a 3-division champion now, but that's neither here or there. Like, I don't know if he can beat Makhachev at 70. 55, it's in play. 70, ooh, I don't think it's just so difficult. I think Arman beats everyone in the weight class but Ilya. I firmly believe that. I think, Arman's 29, Ilya's 28. They're both fairly young. Arman's still getting better. My problem with him is he just doesn't fight. But now that he's back in the octagon, taking on a 35-year-old Dan Hooker who has taken nothing but brain damage over the course of his career. With all due respect, he's 24-12, and he's been in so many wars. Again, the Poirier fight did lasting damage on him. And then he just proceeded to get knocked out by Chandler right after. That's my thing again. Like, he's very hittable, and he's very knockoutable. Arnold Allen knocked him out. Sure, that was at 45. Chandler knocked him out. I mean, there was a point in time where we were talking about Dan Hooker like, oh, his career's over. After the Arnold Allen fight, we were saying, all right, is Hooker done? It was like a feel-good win when he beat Puelles. Oh, Hooker's finally back in the win column. Great. He gets a close decision over Jalen Turner, who questioned his love for the sport. That's before Turner questioned his love for the sport, in all fairness, but still. And then gets gifted a decision against Gamrot. And now we're fighting Arman in a, potential number 1 contenders fight. Good on Hooker for getting here. Arman's dominating this fight, man. Absolutely dominating it. To the point where I'm confident saying, second round knockout Arman Tsarukyan. He has not fought in 18 months. It's going to take him a little bit. But I think once he takes a couple shots and really gets, back in there and gets back into the swing of things, he's going to start dominating Dan Hooker. Every pathway available is going to be open for Arman Tsarukyan in this fight. Grappling, wrestling is 100% there against Dan Hooker. Striking, it is there as well. Yeah, Hooker throws a lot of volume. Hooker, he's in your face. I believe Arman's a better striker, and Arman hits way harder than Dan as well. Hooker's going to be the taller fighter, don't get me wrong. Hooker's 6 feet tall, Arman 5'7". Arman is the stronger fighter, Arman's the quicker fighter, and Arman's got a way better chin and hasn't taken all this damage. Dan Hooker has lost 12 times, been knocked out 4 times, taken all this damage in the UFC. I hate it. Eventually, it's going to come back and get you. He does look like he's going through a midlife crisis right now with all these tattoos, but it's fine. Good on Hooker again. I guess what makes you happy. I don't know. I'm taking Arman Tsarukyan here. I'm taking Arman, fighting in Qatar, which, I mean, they chose to main event him over Bilal. Sure. I mean, we're kind of close to Armenia. Kind of. I mean, I guess I ran away from Armenia? Yeah. Iran's the only thing it's because it's Qatar, Iran, because they got the Persian Gulf, right? They got the Persian Sea, and then Iran, and it's Azerbaijan, then Armenia, I think. That's my geography test, I think, right? It's Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia. So yeah, we're just like separated basically by Iran. Regardless, I guess it's why they want Arman in this spot. I don't know. I think Arman beats Dan Hooker. I think he does it. I don't think the fight's close. Arman is the better skilled fighter everywhere, and Arman Tsarukyan should be fighting elite level guys. And with all due respect to Dan Hooker's not an elite level guy. Arman Tsarukyan should be fighting the elite of the weight class, and the elite of the weight class is Ilya, Paddy, Gaethje. Those are the fights Arman should be having. He's gonna get one of those 3 guys. The question is, who will he get? My guess. If I had to guess, the UFC is going to do, I think they're still going to do Gaethje and Ilya. I think so. They're going to give Ilya the easiest possible fight for his first title defense, not because they think Ilya needs it, but Gaethje's got a big name, and it's going to look really great when he puts Gaethje on the resume. And the Legends run is going to look great, too. Because, then his run's going to be obviously Volk, Holloway, Charles, Gaethje. Unbelievable stuff, right? Then he can start tackling on the Armans and the Paddys of the world. I have a feeling the UFC... I still think they're going to keep Arman and Paddy away from each other. I think, just because they want Paddy to fight for a belt, and if you have him fight Arman, he's going to lose. I don't know, I have a weird feeling they're going to figure out a way to not have those guys fight, but you kind of have to. There's nobody else left. Yeah, they're going to have to do it. Never mind. Yeah, it's going to have to be, okay, it's going to be Arman versus Paddy. Let's do that in England, main event, fight night, and then Gaethje, Ilya, winners fight, Cha-ching. So it's going to happen. I think eventually you end up probably with Ilya versus Arman. That's the big fight. And that'll be, I guess, if UFC ever does Spain. Dana was talking a lot in the press conference yesterday about really wanting to go to Spain. I know he's been talking about it for a while. That's the spot to do it, though. Ilya versus Arman in Spain in July, or in June. Ilya Gaethje in January. If I'm Arman, though, again, I'm going and immediately calling out Ilya. That's the move he should make. Will he get it? Probably not. But if I'm Arman, I'm saying, I apologize for the weight miss or whatnot that I had way back when, but I will fight him in January in less than 2 months. That's what I want. He's not going to get it, so then he'll fight Paddy in the UK in probably February or March, and then boom, he gets the title shot, or the winner gets the title shot in June in Spain against Topuria. And then Paddy will be at a point where if he just wins one more fight, they're going to give him a title shot anyway, but whatever. If he can bounce back and beat Dan Hooker, then they'll give him the title shot just regardless. But anyways, I think Arman Tsarukyan wins, and he's set up for a huge fight next. We just need to see this guy active again, and I'm glad he will be fighting this Saturday in Qatar. So Arman Tsarukyan is the main event winner in the second round by TKO. And folks, that'll do it for our UFC Fight Night Qatar predictions. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back later in the week for our 5 best bets for this UFC Qatar card. So make sure to join us for that. And make sure to join us on the main channel, Greedo Plays, for other best bets videos as well daily. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba, forever.